Hello, welcome to a video where I'm going to showcase Ultra League battles. Not just Ultra League battles, it's Show 6 Pick 3. And it is a practice tournament that I played in the format of Ultra League for factions this cycle. It's a little bit different than it was last time. Last time it was just a specific meta with bans and a whitelist, right? The Celestial Cup. This time we just have restrictions. Not going too much into which Pokemon are available and what not. You just have to know that on the left side, the gold crown Pokemon, you can pick only one of these, and on the gray, oh no, that's uncomfortable. The gray crown, you can pick two Pokemons. And in my experience, there's honestly a lot of good substitutes for what is restricted and what is not. And it really feels like Open Ultra at times. The team that I used, my restricted pick was Trevenant. I think it's like really solid against most water types and fighter types. I expected fighters like Machamp and Toxicroak for sure. My semi-restricted are Walrein and Alola Ninetales. I run a classic Trevenant Walrein core that's covered by a Charmer, or potential Charmer, can also be an Ice attacker. And my unrestricted picks are Blastoise, always solid. Right, only really gets hard-walled by grass types, and you have Ice Beam for dragons. Shadow Machamp, unrestricted, really good neutral puncher. And Shadow Drapion is a crazy unrestricted, to be honest, when like stuff like Buzzwole and Guzzlord are, well, Guzzlord is pretty good, but Buzzwole 1 point and Drapion is not, is mind-blowing, because Shadow Drapion, if you use this for Ultra League, you know that this is one of the best Ultra League Pokemon as well. And that's why, in hindsight, you'll see that my Trevenant pick is not that great, because everyone's going to have a Shadow Drapion. Let's take a look at my first matchup. My opponent does not have a Shadow Drapion. His restricted pick is Swampert. His semi-restricted picks are Tapu Fini and Cofagrigus. And like I said, in this case, Scrafty will be a restricted pick. My opponent just goes with Obstagoon. Great substitute, right? Not restricted. And for second Ghost, you don't need something like a Trevenant. You can pick a Giratina Origin. Completely unrestricted. Really strong Pokemon. And I think that complements very well with a Snorlax. Let's take a look at how these battles go. We're showing one battle from each set. And I lead into the shiny Cofagrigus with my Trevenant. This is... I know in Great League, Cofagrigus farms down in the 2 shields, but not in the Ultra League. And we simultaneous swap. I tried to catch a Shadow Ball or something, or just try to bait something out so my Blastoise can sweep. But we simultaneously swap here, and he actually has Hyper Beam, which is crazy. I expected Gunk Shot. He went for a Hyper Beam. I think I tried to bait out Snorlax or something. I'm not sure what I tried to bait out with this. Either way, they bring Swampert in. Oh, actually, that's why. I expected Swampert in the back, so I want to pressure that. Anyway, they swap in it. Their Swampert, let everything go, and it looks like they're putting it all on their Cofagrigus, which is interesting, because Cofagrigus has a pretty bad matchup against Shadow Drapion. Especially after all those... I tried to swap, couldn't. And I barely get that Weather Ball off. But especially after that Shadow Claw damage, Shadow Drapion just kills his Cofagrigus, really. And at this point, I might even be able to just not review my Blastoise at all. Well, actually, I'm going to. Because I think I still had a lot of energy on the Trevenant. The Shadow Claws really add up. So I should be very good here. Shadow Ball comes in. Blastoise, a bulky Pokemon, can take that easily. And I'll go straight C-Bomb. If this gets no-shielded, I farm down. If it gets shielded, I will Shadow Ball. And looks like they do no-shoot that at this point. I can just claw down and finish off that Swampert. So in this case, bringing the Trevenant really paid off, despite my opponent having an Obstagoon and a Snorlax on their team, which are not great matchups. Hydro comes in, this doesn't KO it yet, doesn't do that much in Ultra League, and that's a game well played. My second matchup against an opponent with restricted pick Cresselia, and 1-pointers are Greedent and Scrafty. Now I think Scrafty is mostly a waste of a point. I think Scrafty's sole purpose over Obstagoon is beating Obstagoon. I think that's the only real thing that Scrafty does better. Greedent, I think, is a really good Bulky pick, Snorlax can do similar though. My opponent also running a Toxicroak. I think that's by far the best pick as unrestricted, because the amount of Shadow Drapions I ran into, well, we haven't seen the first 2 rounds, but they're very difficult to deal with if you don't have a good answer to them. Let's take a look how I'm going to deal with this. What I also found is that Charmers have been very easy to use, because G-Fisk, Registeel are hard restricted. I'm not sure if Talonflame was. I believe it is. It is like hard or semi-restricted. Nidoqueen semi-restricted. All the hard charm counters are restricted, so that made my A9 just really good in most matchups. You saw it like being unchecked in previous matchup. It is here as well. So I lead my Drapion into Toxicroak, classic bad lead, but I have a really good save swap because they don't have an answer. And the charms really add up, even though it's not super effective on Toxicroak because it's poison and fighting. It still chunks because it's quite fragile. That is a Mud Bomb only. And in comes Greedent, which has Tackle, by the way. That doesn't even make it that great against my Trevenant because it charges slowly and Tackle does nothing on Trevenant. But in general, it might actually be the way because it does better against pretty much everything else. In comes a Weather Ball. Not sure if I can or want to flip this. I'm a shield down here, but I can also Poison Sting this down, which will be pretty cool. I also, I believe I have Aqua Tail on Shadow Drapion, which makes Toxicroak okay-ish to deal with. And I swap immediately to get some more farm, keep my A9 as a potential catch maybe. My opponent just ran a really difficult team for me as well. Oh, I don't have Aqua Tail, by the way. Maybe it was a different battle. But yeah, I have a Trevenant in the back. I think it's going to be Scrafty in the back. It is Scrafty, and they bring that in here. And this basically wins me the game. Because now my Trevenant will be aligned to that, but they do shield that first Sludge, which is very tough. Straight Pup, that's fine. I still survived, so we'll get to my Sludge. Even if they catch, that's okay, because, I mean, I can't swap anyway, so I'll have to throw the move regardless. In comes another Sludge, and he shielded again. That's so difficult. But also, Trevenant is really not the worst against Scrafty, but my opponent swaps immediately and clears their buff. They were not doing that very well, to be honest. If they were buffed up like that, they could probably one-shot my Trevenant. Obviously, no shooting at Sludge, because it does way less than a foul play. Now I have so much energy, I can go straight C-Bomb on the Scrafty. This is one thing where Scrafty really is worse, especially in Great League, where Trevenant can basically just double shield and win the matchup against Scrafty. Even though Dark is super effective, that's basically because the counters are double resisted. And now I have the move. I think I will swap here just to make sure that he's in C-Bomb range. I think he already is. But these charms will chunk a little bit. He barely dies to that. And I have a C-Bomb store, and that will seal the deal. My opponent ran, I think in other games he ran something like Toxicroak, Greedent, Scrafty. I think that's just, like, Toxicroak, Scrafty is just a really good core. I used to run a lot of Deoxys, Scrafty core in GBL, in Go Battle League, and it was so strong. I think Toxicroak, Scrafty, or Toxicroak, Obstagoon, again, is very obnoxious to deal with. Next matchup against Dragon Emperor 57, and he has a very tough team for me. There you see another Shadow Drapion. He has his restricted pick Trevenant as well, and his semi are Tapu Fini and Nidoqueen. On top of that, he also has Toxicroak, Obstagoon, very tough to deal with. So obviously Nidoqueen wasn't nerfed yet in this particular video because Poison Fang is still 35 energy. It will be 40 energy after, and then it will make Nidoqueen a little bit slower. I don't think it will become worse in its typing, but you will definitely feel the Poison Fang nerf there. I lead Blastoise into Obstacle, which is great because I have a Walrein in the back, but I'm also ABB. Well, not even ABB, honestly. Blastoise isn't a Toxicroak counter, but I need to draw a Toxicroak at some point. I need to draw it out, because otherwise it will sweep my Drapion and my Walrein. So I think at some point I will swap out. I need to keep I need to be close to a Hydro, because a Hydro does so much to that fragile Toxicroak. They no-shoot the Hydro, and I always really overestimate Blastoise Hydro cannon. I don't know, maybe I'm just used to Grey League Swampert Hydro Cannons or something. Gonna throw another one here. Hopefully get a shield. If I get shields down, the Toxicroak is not that big of a deal for my Walrein, but they do no-shoot that and they bring in the Trevenant. So I'm gonna build up some energy here because Shadow Claws do less than counters. So I can build up to a Hydro there, which is really nice. However, their Trevenant is loaded, which is really bad for my Walrein in endgame. Good thing I do have Aqua Tail here and Sludge actually, so I'm not even super great against Trev. I mean, it's still fine. But now I can put up a good fight here because I outpace very easily. It's only 4 poison stings for my Aqua Tails and 3 will KO. Another Aqua Tail coming through. I can throw another one, maybe get a shield. Beautiful. They do have to shield because their Trevenant will struggle with this. And getting shields down is exactly what I want. Because the more shields there are in play, the better Trevenant is against Walrein. I don't think this thing's low enough to farm down with the Walrein though, so I can't really do that. But I think that's what I wanted to do, realizing that I didn't want to throw my Hydro just yet. And he actually swaps in Trevenant himself, so now I can just go straight Icicle Spear. Normal Walrein is actually better than Shadow is in this particular matchup. I do like Shadow more in general, but here it's definitely better, and against things you can like one-shot with Earthquake almost, like a Shadow Drape. But yeah, the Seed Bombs just do way less. This might not even KO. Like, the Shadow Claws added up quite some, but I might survive this. I do survive that, and this Icicle Spear, that's something they will not survive. Bam! And now I have Hydro stored, and that wins me this game. Very, very clean. Very clean. Honestly, I don't think there was another way to win that battle. If they didn't swap out of their Toxicroak, they may have reached another move though. So I guess my Walrein, so questionable there. But maybe they thought they were gonna get farmed down by like my A9 or something. I don't know. Next battle against Trainer Reki, who I met in Berlin at GoFest. Really cool guy, and he's running Shadow Swampert. This is his restricted pick, and I believe is Abomasnow single restricted. I think he has only one restricted pick here, because I know that Snorlax, Drapion, and Toxicroak are not. I'm pretty sure Gyarados isn't either. Anyway, this Abomasnow is a pretty tricky one because it breaks my Blastoise Trevenant core, and that's actually been a pretty important core for me so far. Walrein still does fine, even though Grass is super effective, but the Power Snows are double resisted, so Walrein puts up a decent fight as my Icicle Spears are neutral on Abomasnow. On top of that, my Machamp looks really good as long as I can avoid that Toxicroak yet again. This is gonna be a very difficult matchup. This is not a good matchup for me. But let's see if I can deal with it. We got Alola Ninetales into Shadow Swampert. Do I have Trevenant on my team? I do not. I'm actually pretty neutral against Swampert, and I just decided to swap out anyway, trying to bait out the Toxicroak because I'm playing ABB against it. Machamp with energy advantage is somewhat okay against Toxicroak. And this matchup is somewhat okay as well. Machamp used to be able to win this as long as you sneak one move and deny one, but that's no longer possible, so he loses in even shields now. But at least my counters are doing a lot, so I can farm this down. I don't think there's a Toxicroak in the back because they didn't bring it in just yet. This time I'm running Rock Slide on Machamp because I don't need payback for anything. Rock Slide could be really nice for potential Gyarados, even though I'm not sure if they would bring that. But at this point, I could farm down with Walrein, because if it's still Toxicroak, I can Earthquake. But they bring in the Shadow Drapion, I can't bring in my A9 here, so I have to stay in a little bit. This Crunch will do about 45% or something. It will do a lot, hopefully no debuff. Actually, a little 40. And I'll throw right before the next one. I lose CMP, I believe, to Shadow Drape, so I'm gonna throw right before that. And it does take him out. Now, if they bring in Toxicroak, with that debuff, I think they can take me out before I even get to the Earthquake. On top of that, we might even CMP on it, so I'm just gonna bring in A9, see if I can get it into Icicle Spear range. Because this is going to get very close. If I can get an Icicle Spear range, I might just be fine. But I also need to remember they still have a catch as well. Icicle Spear barely might KO for here or not. They tried to catch, but unsuccessfully. They almost caught my Earthquake there, but barely not. And they don't have a Mud Bomb stored, so that wins me that battle. I was basically hoping for them to swap, because I think that was my only win con. Just farming up more energy. That Icicle Spear may barely not have KO'd. So far, I'm still unbeaten in this tournament. My last matchup against a really good player called Yartavia. He's running Virizion, which is an interesting pick, and Politoed. That's kind of the OG Ultra League meta. Politoed, like, it used to be really good, really before the Weather Ball nerf, right? And his restricted pick is Giratina Alter, the pick we haven't seen just yet. And his one pointers are Nidoqueen and I believe Virizion. Now, one thing I don't like about Giratina is just the same thing that Trevenant has. There's Shadow Drapion all over the place, and Obstagoon as well. So Ghosts are a little bit questionable in this meta, but I also feel like they're somewhat necessary to counter something like Toxicroak or Nidoqueen, even though Trevenant doesn't counter Nidoqueen. So my Ghost might just be the worst I could have picked. Anyway, let's see how I'm going to play this. This, again, isn't a great matchup, but I think there's a lot of play for both sides. Now, first battle, Walrein into Politoed. This is very neutral, actually, even though their Mudshots are neutral. Like my Power Stones are resisted, but their Mudshots are not. This is still a very fine matchup. This Earthquake won't do that much. I think I survived 2 barely, and they won't. You can see that doesn't do too much. And then I swap into my Machamp to bait out the Nidoqueen successfully. Now I will tell you why. I will tell you later why this is a wrong swap. As you can see, I have payback here to nuke this annoying Nidoqueen. Here it comes. Does this take it out? Does this even land? It does land, but does it take it out? Can I? Oh no, I can't. And the problem is that's a very bad Shadow Machamp as well. I need to build a new one. At least with payback. It's because in the first factions, like, you had to register CP, so my Shadow Machamp was the same one as my Rock Slide one. Earthquake incoming does quite some damage, but it gets shielded, and then I'm gonna see if I can swap here. This Earthquake I don't think takes me out, and I'm very close to another Earthquake. But I'm actually making a misplay because I didn't build to my Earthquake, so I don't have it stored yet. On top of that, I totally forgot this was a Power Snow Ninetales, purely meant to bait out Nidoqueen. I bait a Weather Ball there, thinking it might not be Drapion, but it was, which is unfortunate. Baiting another Weather Ball here, and hopefully, if this gets shielded, it doesn't, which is terrible, but also smart, because the Dazzling Gleam doesn't KO anyway. I'll just throw another one. This one does get shielded. A lot of Ninetales win surprisingly many CPs, honestly. Like, over all the bulky Pokemons like Walrein, Politoed, Blastoise, I think you win a CP over Nidoqueen. Another Dazzling Gleam incoming. That will take it out. And now I need to land a Dazzling Gleam on the Politoed. But honestly, just this game went completely wrong. Shields are down. But the thing is, I didn't know. I thought they had one shield, so I catch an Earthquake here. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. I was one of an Earthquake, by the way, so that's actually almost an Earthquake gone. And then I thought they had a shield, so I bait here, which is also a useless bait, because I won't even outpace them to a move. As you can see, even though I do win a lot of battles, I'm also just human, and I lose that battle completely unnecessary. I had a good laugh after that. I did lose only 1-2. Wasn't necessary, but it is what it is. It was a tough matchup, and I think I got it very well. So looking back at the meta, again, these are as you can see, the best steel. The best Charmer answers: G-Fisk, Reggie, Talonflame, all very restricted. You can only pick one, and Nidoqueen is semi-restricted. So that makes Charm very good so far. Now, obviously, Charm is going to get nerfed, so maybe people are like, nah, Charm's not good enough. But But keep it in mind, you want a charm checker, because I think that got me really far in this tournament despite having a really tough matchup. In fact, the one that I lost is the one where I didn't run charm. Says enough, right? I hope you liked the video and have a good one.